Champion Vex Thor wore 300,000 credit battle armor, but the human instructor destroyed it with a single tap. I need to be honest with you right from the start. I, Vex Thor, of the Crane Dominion, holder of 17 campaign ribbons, survivor of the Bleeding Moons conflict, decorated 6 times for valor in close combat, was an idiot. A complete, certified, Galaxy-class moron. But in my defense, how was I supposed to know the training facility on Station Helios' name smelled like recycled air and desperation, which should have been my first clue that something was off. But no, I walked in there with my crest held high, my scales gleaming under the fluorescent lighting, convinced that I was about to teach these soft-skinned newcomers a thing or two about real combat. "You must be Vex Thor," the human said, not even bothering to look up from her datapad. She was small, maybe 5.5 feet tall, with dark hair pulled back in what I later learned was called a ponytail. Her species had only joined the Galactic Council 3 cycles ago, and already they thought they could teach combat tactics. "Lieutenant Iris Calloway," she continued, finally glancing at me with these unnervingly calm brown eyes. "I will be your combat instructor for this rotation." I laughed, actually laughed, right in her face. My mandibles clicked with amusement, and I saw several other trainees, a Visceral, a Thorhian, and a Skellig, exchange glances. They were thinking the same thing I was. This creature, barely reaching my chest plates, was going to instruct me? Me? I had fought in 12 major engagements. I had personally defeated a Targasian dreadnought champion in ritual combat. This was insulting. "With respect, Lieutenant," I said. No, not respectfully at all. "I think there has been some mistake. I am here for advanced combat training, not," I gestured vaguely at her, "whatever this is." She did not react the way I expected. No anger, no defensive posturing, nothing. She just smiled, this tiny little curve of her lips that somehow made the temperature in the room feel like it dropped 5 degrees. "No mistake, Champion Vex Thor," she replied, emphasizing my title in a way that made it sound almost mocking. "You requested the best hand-to-hand combat specialist on the station. That would be me. Unless, of course, you would like to file a transfer request. I can have the paperwork ready in about," she checked her datapad again, "10 minutes. The other trainees were watching now, really watching. I could feel their eyes on me, measuring, judging. My pride, that wonderful, terrible thing, reared up inside my chest. A Kreen warrior does not back down, especially not from something that looked like it could barely lift a standard-issue rifle. "No transfer necessary," I said, drawing myself up to my full 7-foot height. "I simply want to ensure that Council resources are not being wasted on," I paused for effect, "inadequate instruction." "Oh, do not worry about that," Iris said, setting down her datapad and walking toward the center of the training mat. Her movements were loose, casual, like someone taking a stroll through a park rather than preparing for combat. "Assessment. I promise you, by the end of today, you will have learned something valuable." She was right about that, by the way. Horribly, painfully, humiliatingly right. I just had no idea what kind of education I was about to receive. "Shall we begin with a simple demonstration?" she asked, stretching her arms above her head. I heard something in her shoulders pop, a casual sound that seemed incredibly out of place in a combat facility. "Standard rules. You wear your armor. I will go as I am. First contact wins." First contact? I almost laughed again. My armor could withstand plasma fire. It had deflected projectile weapons, energy blades, and once, memorably, a small explosive device. And she wanted to face it with nothing but her regulation training uniform? "If you insist," I said, already planning my official complaint about the waste of my time. "Try not to hurt yourself." That smile again, that terrifying, knowing little smile. "Oh, champion," she said softly, "I will be very careful." I should have run. Let me explain something about Kreen culture, so you understand exactly how monumentally I was about to embarrass myself and my entire species. We Kreen are not just warriors. We are the warriors. For 6,000 cycles, we have provided the Galactic Council with its finest soldiers, its most decorated champions, its most feared combat specialists. Our children train from the moment they can walk. Our elderly continue sparring until their dying breath. Combat is not what we dared, it's what we are. My record was, I will admit without false modesty, exceptional even by Kreen standards. 17 campaigns across 12 star systems, 347 confirmed victories in single combat. I had trained under Weapons Master Krell Zek, who once held off an entire battalion with nothing but a broken pike and, according to legend, sheer spite. I had earned the Crimson Talon, an honor given to less than 1% of Kreen warriors. I had fought in zero-gravity, high-gravity, toxic atmospheres, and once, unforgettably, in the middle of a methane storm on rival Sept. I was, in every measurable way, a perfect killing machine wrapped in scales and arrogance. And then there was Lieutenant Iris Calloway, human, age 28 standard years, which meant absolutely nothing to me at the time, because I had no reference for human lifespans. She had joined the Galactic Defense Forces immediately after her species made first contact, rising through the ranks with what the other instructors called disturbing speed. Her official record listed her as a close-quarters combat specialist with expertise in something called mixed martial arts. Whatever that meant, she looked, and I cannot stress this enough, completely harmless. Soft skin, no natural armor plating, no claws or fangs worth mentioning, no venomous capabilities. She had these thin limbs that looked like they would snap if you breathed on them. Wrong. Her species averaged around 150 pounds, maybe 170 for the larger males. By comparison, I weighed 412 pounds of muscle, bone, and battle-hardened aggression. The other species on the station had mixed feelings about the human instructors. The visceral, with their 6 arms and compound eyes, found them curious but unthreatening. The Hortzian, massive bear-like beings from a heavy-gravity world, thought the humans were adorable in a pathetic sort of way. The Skellig, insectoid, hive-mind creatures simply did not understand why the Council kept assigning humans to combat positions when they clearly belonged in administrative roles. But there were rumors, quiet whispers in station cantinas late at night when the stimulants were flowing freely, stories about human training exercises gone wrong or perhaps gone very right, depending on your perspective, about sparring sessions that ended with medical emergencies, about a Targasian shock trooper who had challenged a human instructor to a strength test and ended up with a broken arm. 3 broken arms, actually, because Targasians have 4, and the human apparently got tired before finishing the job. I dismissed these stories as exaggerations, the kind of tall tales that always circulate in military facilities. Surely the Council wouldn't put such fragile creatures in instructor positions unless it was some kind of diversity initiative, some political gesture to make the newcomers feel included. Looking back, the signs were all there. I just refused to see them. Pride, as they say across dozens of different cultures, comes before the fall. I was about to fall very, very hard. The preparation area smelled of ozone and metal polish, a familiar scent that usually calmed my pre-combat nerves. Not that I was nervous, mind you. How could I be nervous about facing something that looked like it might blow away in a stiff breeze? But still, protocol was protocol, and I began the ritual of donning my armor with the practiced efficiency of someone who had done this thousands of times. My battle armor was a masterpiece of Kreen engineering, 3rd-generation combat plating with redundant shield matrices built into every major piece. The chest plate alone could withstand direct hits from plasma rifles at close range. The gauntlets were reinforced with titanium carbide alloys, rated for punching through starship hulls if necessary. The helmet featured a heads-up display, threat assessment algorithms, and enough sensor equipment to track a mosquito in a hurricane, assuming I knew what a mosquito was back then. "That is quite the setup," Iris commented, leaning against the wall with her arms crossed. She had not changed, had not geared up, had not even bothered to put on the standard-issue protective padding we used for low-risk training exercises. She was wearing the same simple gray uniform she had walked in with.
soft fabric that would stop absolutely nothing. "Military grade, top of the line," I confirmed, snapping the chest plate into place. The armor hummed as it powered up, running its diagnostic checks. All systems green, rated for artillery impacts up to 40 kilotons, energy dispersion fields, kinetic dampeners, full environmental sealing. This armor has kept me alive through situations that would liquefy most species. "Impressive," Iris said, and I could not tell if she was being sincere or sarcastic. With humans, I would learn, it was often both simultaneously. "Must be expensive. 300,000 credits, standard galactic currency," I said, allowing myself a moment of pride. "Custom fit to my physiology. The waiting list for Kreen Master armors is 7 cycles long." "Wow," Iris replied, pushing off the wall